Alright, welcome back Math 20-3. Today's lesson involves sketching again and drawing. The lesson itself is quite simple. However, what I want you to focus is not much of the drawing part. In fact, we can draw three-dimensional diagram easily without this material, but material is what I want to point it out. Isometric paper. To be fair, if you use workbook, most of the workbook questions have this isometric dot paper. The way that it looked like or how we use, I'm going to explain that a little later. Three-dimensional diagram, it's a little tough to draw in two-dimensional screen. First thing first, people who go with any type of mechanical technician or any type of trade that use machinery and design, this is the lesson that you will this is a lesson that you may, I don't know, like use it in future. That does not necessarily mean, even if you're not going to that field, is that not significant? No, it is significant. This tells you about how we can basically use the measurement that we learn, width, length, and depth can be used precisely. First thing first, isometric drawing is one of the method of drawing some three-dimensional figure on two-dimensional plane. So three-dimensional figure, there are several different examples that we already learned. Like it can be cone, it can be prism, it can be pyramid, blah, blah, blah. We can draw a lot of stuff. Lines can be basically created as x-axis, y-axis, which is our two-dimensional. When it comes to two-dimension, you need to understand it's x and y. But if it's three-dimension, we have x, y, and what I like to call z. Z is the concept of depth. And that's really tough to do in two-dimensional picture because it's kind of like something is going out of this space. Like as you may see, my finger is going close to you. If you watch any movie in 3D goggle, that's the effect that you get. Or something that go from here all the way deeper. So the concept of going out of the page and into the page is what this z-axis means. Of course, as our main title, scale representation, we are going to draw everything in scale. The ratio may be involved. And when it comes to the drawing part, those ratio will be still applied to our drawing. And lines should be parallel. If you have any parallel line, like for example, some kind of square rectangular face in a prism, then you should draw everything in parallel also. And when it comes to the depth, we generally use 30 degree of an angle from the horizontal, and that gives you the concept of depth. And that's what I'm going to use for drawing our picture. Now, if you would like to get this isometric dot paper, like I mentioned, most of them are available in workbook, but if you really want to print your own, there are several ways. When it comes to class during this COVID-19 situation, I already print a lot in the school front door, the front bench. There are several isometric dot paper I announced a few weeks ago. And at the same time, you can also go to Google and just type isometric dot paper PDF, and then you can basically click any of the first, second, whatever the reliable website and download your PDF file. Then you can use your printer. Now let's go with that isometric dot paper. Isometric dot, ladies and gentlemen, as you may see, is basically what you see over here. The way that it is designed is, instead of having dot line by line, every first, third, fifth, seventh, they are along the line. But when it comes to even number, second, fourth, they are about ½ centimeter away from the first one, and vice versa. So you may notice that the first column, third column, fifth column, they're basically sharing the same alignment, but even number second, fourth, and sixth, they basically follow completely different type of alignment. In fact, the first and second, so odd number column and even number column, they do not overlap, just for the heads up. All right, so we're gonna do very limited amount of class example, and it's gonna be quite short lesson, just because, like I mentioned, the drawing part is not tricky. The step rather is tricky. Use isometric dot paper to draw cube with side that is 3 units long. So first thing first, we have our scale. Now this 3 units long, in reality, that can be quite different type of a measurement. It can be 3 meter, 9 meter, or it can be imperial situation, 3 feet, 6 feet, those kind of thing. So I'm gonna draw one of the example and another example that is portrayed by the workbook. So one of my example I'm gonna do. The very easy way that I can start everything, or first step, is we are creating a front of whatever 3-dimensional object. So front face of 3-dimensional object. So if you think about cube, think about one of the side of it. So let's draw basically a square with 3 units. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So you can connect vertical line like that. That's A. Now you may notice that when it comes to isometric paper, it is impossible to draw anything on horizontal way because everything is zigzag. So what you can do in this situation is you are going to draw 3 of the unit that belong to the first front face. 1, 2, 3. Connect it like this. And know the fact that you can also connect the bottom part like that. I kind of miscalculated my distance, so I just draw one more isometric dot. This can be C and D, and I can create my front face of the 3-dimensional diagram. Now, what I'm going to do afterward is I'm going to draw hindered face of 3-dimensional diagram. So first one was a front face. Second one will be whatever we cannot see from the front. So whatever that is hidden. But here's the thing. We are having cube, which means every side is equal, width, length, and height. So after 1, 2, 3 unit, I'm going to start from here and then draw 1, 2, 3 like that, and draw 1, 2, 3 like that. And here is what I'm going to do. As you may notice, it's not entirely complete, but that's the beautiful thing about this first step and second step. You don't have to draw the whole thing. In fact, if I'm looking some object at the front, whatever that line that you can see, I know I didn't draw it, but if I vertically draw it down and diagonally go down, that's my hinder face. You don't want to draw that how can I say, that hindered part of the line, because that's where the third step is. Connect front and connect front and back together. So what I mean by that is this. My first front face is drawn perfectly, and that's the one of the face that you have to draw entirely. And after that, what I need to do is connect the hinder line and front face line together. And that is perfect cube. And this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, something like that. You may notice that Mr. Kim wears F. Well, the thing is, F is probably hit by this point C. It is behind the C. Imagine if it's invisible, you can see the point F right behind this because it is drawn at the back. But you may notice the concept of the depth, it exists in here. It's just not, how can I say, not observable from the outside perspective. That is what I want you to have it in your mind. And in your workbook, it's basically drawn very similar way, except it starts from the bottom. No, it's not. The one that you see over here, right side, is my face. So A, B, C, D, and then it goes G, F, E, something like that. So alphabetical order, it doesn't really matter where you put. If you want to put A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, that is okay too. Now let's do something similar. The workbook answer, it turned out it's very identical, so I'm just going to create something. Let's say 3 units having, and this time, why don't we make prism with trapezoid, something like that. And I'm gonna create the trapezoid as an example. Let's say 1 unit on the height at the top, and then why don't we have actually triangular prism will be a little bit better with the space. So you know what, instead of trapezoid, prism with triangle base, something like that. That will make our life a bit easy. And I want you to draw triangle 2 unit for everything. So that front face should be look like this. Let's just choose 2 units because I don't think there are a lot of space to do that. So this is my front face, like what we did over on the left side. It doesn't matter whether you start from here or here. I'm right-handed person, and from my perspective, this is a little bit common part of me, but you don't have to. Now, next triangle, 1, 2, you start draw from here. As you may notice, I'm drawing only the segment of it. I didn't fully draw the whole thing, just because whatever that I draw behind will be hidden by the top surface. So what I'm going to do as a third step is connect those, and that's what we have. As you may notice, it is definitely not much of a drawing that you can see, because the concept of depth, if I draw like this, these dotted line, that line should be the one that occupy at the bottom corner, which we cannot see because of this front face. So I can see that A, B, C, D, E, something like that. That is my today's lesson.